Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Baduhu wasta'inuhu wastadihi wastaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akbaruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. As-salahu bil huda wa din al-haq liyudhiruhu ala ad-din kulihi wallahu karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, fa'inna astikal hadith, kitabullah, wa awtaqa al-ura, kalimatu taqwa, wa khayrul milali, milatu Ibrahim, wa khayrul sunani, sunatu Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa ashraful hadith, dhikrullah, wa asanu al-kasasi, hada al-Quran, wa khayrul umuri, awazzamuha, wa shayrul umuri, muhtadatuha, wa asanu al-hadyu, hadyu al-anbiya, wa ashraful maut, katlu shuhada, wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'd al-huda, wa khayrul amali ma nafaha, wa khayrul hadi ma utba'a, wa shayrul amma al-kaw. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the Book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are the ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil-adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil-qurba wa yanha anil-fashai wal-munkari wal-baghi ya'idukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. And He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. And He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. Wa tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, because You enjoin the right, you forbid the wrong, and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin an-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allah ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem, inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu Sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Organizational decline. The life cycle stage that an organization enters when it fails to anticipate, recognize, avoid, neutralize, or adapt to external or internal pressures that threaten its long-term survival. These statements come from one of our books. This is a section on organizational decline. But in life, we can see that everything has a certain cycle. And that cycle is very simple. Everything is born. I know you get bored of hearing this several thousand times. I've said it. Everything is born. It grows, expands, and then it begins to decline and die. Everything, the trees, the people, everything does that except Allah. It's born. Then it gets big and husky, or it expands, right? Then the scale tips and it begins to decline and it dies. This is talking about organizational decline, or decline of a nation, or decline of anything. So this is talking about organizational decline. The life cycle stage that an organization enters when it fails to anticipate, recognize, avoid, neutralize, or adapt to external or internal pressures that threaten its long-term survival. What we're going to talk about today is our attempt to intervene and some kind of way produce a soft landing in the decline of the system which we call America, and to influence the global situation so that we can influence the direction of change for the global environment. That means we could participate in the new vision for the world in which we live in, because now the human being is not challenged by dinosaurs, elephants, tigers, and lions, and anything like that, right? There's no external enemies or threats to the human being. A human being could accidentally get chewed up by a tiger or bit by a poisonous snake. But the human being have long evolved through his growth and development from his cave life, from his dwellings, or his life on the plains of Africa, in Asia and the Middle East and all over the world. He's evolved now to where his biggest enemy is not an external enemy. He's conquered everything else in history. I mean, everything in life, but he's not conquered himself. His enemy lives inside of himself. This is what Jihadul Akbar, the great jihad, is about, or others refer to it as jihad and nafs. The jihad to subdue, to control, and direct your nafs. Not that that's part of the subject, but the nafs are natural for the human being or any other animal. Without him, he wouldn't live. He wouldn't eat because he wouldn't get hungry. He wouldn't be born because wouldn't nobody want to do nothing to nobody else so they could produce a child because there ain't no nafs around, right? So it wouldn't be nothing in the animal world without those nafs. But we always use the term the horse or the rider. Who will control the direction of the nafs? Will it be the rider that has a bridle and makes that horse go in this direction or that direction? Or will the horse, the body, take the rider where it wants it to go? Will that rider subdue and subjugate the horse, the nafs, until they become a willing servant of the Islamic movement, or a willing servant of the psychic, the body, the mind is in control, or the willing servant of the spirit, and that spirit is tied to the spirit that Allah have placed in the whole universal existence. So now, we're here, and we're trying to seek a soft landing for one of the most brutal regimes in history, the United States of America. You could almost call it the most brutal. It's pretty bad. In order to do that, just kind of travel a little bit, we're going to do a little thing today. Let's call it crisis management. We have the common crisis management, what you should do in crisis management. The first song I'm going to read a little bit is from Crisis Management in the Healthcare Sector, Qualities and Characteristics of Health Crisis Managers. I'll just read the whole thing, the introduction. The dynamic nature of the health field, international and regional advancements in the health sector, growing populations as well as potential health threats either predicted or not, are conditions that point out the necessity to organize health systems toward health crisis management. In other words, you should have a system in place already. If you're a leader or a global leader or a regional leader, you should already have a crisis management portfolio already ready to go. You should already have your crisis management outline, and you should have already put somebody in charge of that crisis management, right? When we speak of health crisis management, we imply that a coordinated and effective operational action plan of certain groups of people exists. They exist. And its implementation in case of imposed threat on civilians' health and health systems, regardless of cause and extent. Regardless of cause and extent. 2008, Estefano, whoever's word. Human factor plays a major role when it comes to organizing health crisis management. And this is what I was reaching for. The cornerstone of a preparedness system is the personality of the manager. The cornerstone of a preparedness system is the personality of the manager. The most important thing in crisis management, especially during a healthcare situation. Now remember, all groups and organizations have a crisis, they should have a crisis plan. Whether it's business, whether it's organization, everybody should have a section of the people that deal with crisis management. I mean, if something come up, we already got a plan here based on history, based on evolution, based on the business cycle, based on all those things. Based on population explosion, you should have a crisis management program. Each state has to have one for forest fires, for plagues, for floods. That's just normal. I'll repeat what this says, and this is from Crisis Management in the Health Sector. Qualities and characteristics of health crisis managers. The cornerstone, what everything is built on, of a preparedness system is the personality of the manager. There are qualities and characteristics that define the effectiveness and success of a management system that deals with crisis in the health sector. Before the crisis, just before it even happened, it is important for health crisis managers to come from or be familiar with the health sector. Something that makes them aware of all relevant areas of involvement and their particular futures. In other words, whoever the healthcare manager is, that person should have studied or researched something about medicine. So if you were to look at what goes on here, Donald Trump wouldn't be the he would have nothing to do, basically. He's the President of the United States, but he's not trained in health care management, in crisis management relating to a general crisis, especially related to the medical field, vaccines. Donald Trump, this dummy, he's telling the doctors, I got a homeboy down at the massage parlor, got another one that's a bartender. We was talking and they told me that they got a friend that this vaccine and that stuff works good, and I'm gonna put that out. I want us to put millions of pills out on the market. The man's a dummy. He don't know nothing about that. Therefore now, the people that need that medicine can't get it. Is that right? The people that need certain medicines now, they can't get the medicine. Why? Because dummy Don and run down and told everybody this might help prevent and treat the disease that's going around, the virus that's going around. And it don't work. And the doctors are standing there not telling the dummy. They come up after. You see them, they come up after, and they said, Well, it'll be a long time. Don said, we're going to have something in 3 weeks or no longer than a month. That's what he says. And they said, yes, we probably will have a vaccine within 6 months, and we might have the cure within 1 year, 18 months. And they don't ever look at Don. I didn't mean to jump ahead, but here's what the guy that's going to be the crisis manager should come out of the healthcare system, or the leader, the president, would appoint somebody from that arena to take charge of that. Now, they wouldn't have to make up a plan. They already got a plan. That's what all this says. Now we'll go on. During rapid evolution of a health crisis, the manager must assess the seriousness of the events and prioritize upcoming needs. Common goal is securing the health of the population. Nevertheless, health threats vary in nature and effect, so proper handling of a health crisis demands a balanced distribution of resources. Balanced distribution of resources. And the other literature that I read dealing with this subject said everyone should be clear that the distribution of all the resources will be fair and equal. Y'all watch TV? What Don ordered the guy last, Pence, he ordered Pence a week or two ago. If them guys out there don't treat you right, and of course me too, then I don't want you talking to them no more. Didn't he say that? That's what the man said. That if the governors each got a team too. And the governors is doing this. They're listening to what their local and regional scientists are saying. Because they have a state plan. Every state has one of these plans. Except the federal government. Can you imagine? The federal government didn't have no plan. They say you're supposed to assess what the level of threat. Don, they told him for a month. They said, Don, and the government said, well, China ain't told us, we don't know nothing. Well, it just so happens in December they did. And in January and on and on and on. We had a program here. When we heard about China in January, we gave a lecture on China. If y'all remember that at the end we said, think about it, we hope that China develop a Negro safety vaccine, something like that. Didn't we say that? Tell the truth. A vaccine, just in case. Look, it seemed like a joke, tell the truth. But who's dying by maximum percentages all over this country? Negroes. Why? There's something in the fitra that tells you if something bad getting ready to happen, you got to, who did it always hurt? It hurts the poor, which don't have, and the Negroes and the American Indians and the Latinos, right? First of all, they're disenfranchised with health systems, just in general. And probably the poorest healthcare system out of all the people are probably the American Indians and Canadian. They're just the First Nations people. It's not feeling sorry for a people, but a disenfranchised people couldn't be no more than the Native American. It just, I mean, just in general. So each state has, back to the subject, each state has a a crisis management plan. California's for fires and floods and all of that. And when something happens, they mobilize all the state resources and the National Guard. The National Guard is for each state. Each state have a National Guard. And if it gets even bigger, then the government, the national government, could federalize the National Guard. They used to do that when states' rights issues was really popular in the 50s and the 60s. When the governors would stand in front of the schoolhouse say, you can't send no niggas in here, right? And he would have the National Guard there with him, his state guard. In Alabama, what's the name, stood in the schoolhouse door, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. He wasn't quite correct. So states' rights has been a part of the makeup of the United States. Before they could institute the Constitution, they had to go to all the states to get what they called the Bill of Rights. Nobody would ratify the Constitution. We're not taking that thing. It's a dictatorial document. I don't want to drift back and forth, but during the Revolutionary War, they fought the Revolutionary War on a document called the Articles of Confederation. That means these 13 colonies are confederated to do certain business. So they knocked off tariffs between each state. They used to have tariffs, you know. If you went from Virginia to Maryland, they'd charge you an import-export tax, right? Each state, they've done away with that. But they fought the Revolutionary War under the Articles of Confederation and the attitude of the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was a wonderful document. I'm telling you, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if any government get out of line, it's the duty of the people to change that government, to jump up and say, hold it. That is a revolutionary document. Because it don't make no difference to me and you. Life, living, the pursuit of happiness. It don't say if you was white and owned property. Then, after the war, Revolutionary War, they come up with the Constitution. Now, you got to remember, who's leading the rebellion anyway? You got old George Washington. Why, he got 300 slaves. You got old Tom, not Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tom down here in Virginia. Thomas Jefferson, he got a house full of slaves. And a house full of kids from Sarah Henning, whoever it was they was messing with. Right? They got his, right now, you can see Thomas Jefferson's kids right now. I mean, they got his big kind of yellow, freckle-faced Negroes right now. Right there. A lot of them darkened up. But DNA proves, and they have their history. Yeah, this is my mama, Sarah Henning. Great-grandmother, right? So Tom, the one that he claimed to wrote the Declaration of Independence, but the Constitution. The rich white folks needed the poor white folks to fight against Britain to get their independence. When they got their independence, guess who wrote the Constitution? Look at them names. Do you see any poor guys running around? Their name on anything? No. They was all in the Continental Congress. They were all landowners. There wasn't no farmers or nobody. You know the first rebellions they had in the U.S.? You ever heard of the Whiskey Rebellion? Shays Rebellion? There's an old white folk song, something about I ain't paid no whiskey taxes since 1792. That's when they had the whiskey rebellion. Why? Because the people trying to put a tax on whiskey. Anyway, this rebellion, this attitude about rebellion, they were the rich people. The Constitution is different than the Declaration of Independence. The wording is all different. Because first you want independence. This is a document, a protest document. And now you got to manage the lives of the people. Who's going to manage the lives? Why, the same rich people that was leading the charge with the poor people dragging them behind to fight against the British. That's where the balance between states' rights and federal rights, and all the Federalist Papers and the Alexander Hamiltons, and all them people were almost monarchists. They almost made George Washington the king. I'm telling you, if he would have, and he actually stepped down. He did like Obama. He just said, well, I didn't have enough time, I quit. If he didn't, he'd still been president now. Of course, he died a while back, but right? He'd have been like an African dictator. When he get in there, you come and say, well, boss, your 8 years or 20 years is up. He look at you like, why, you must be crazy. But anyway, states' rights. I'm going to get back to the argument the white folks is having now. And the governors and the federal government. Don is so dumb. You can tell he don't know nothing about the Constitution. In management and leadership, he don't have none of that. He don't have none of what we just got talking about. And wait till we get into some functional stuff. So Don don't know the rights, all the rights that are not enumerated in the Constitution, federal Constitution, are left to the states. That's why it ain't no federal crime to rob a liquor store, it's a state crime. Right? It ain't no federal crime to rob a liquor store, except in D.C., of course. That's why there's so many Negroes in the federal penitentiary. Anyway, it's a long story. So all those rules and guidelines are left to the states. Each state have House of Representatives, some have they got all of that for themselves. Don, he don't know. Don is stupid. He's really stupid. I mean, he's not just Bozo the Clown stupid. No, he's worse than that. He's below Bozo. He make Bozo the Clown look like an intellectual, a scholar and a gentleman. Right? Look what the dummy said. I'm going to do this, and I want all of y'all, since I'm the president, of course, and he used dictatorial terms to scare the white folks to death. I have absolute authority. Didn't he say that? I have absolute, good God Almighty. Now, that would have been the white folks' way back then. The rebels, they'd have jumped up and busted him upside the head. Right? If he'd have said that in 1795 or 1835, anything like that. The white folks were still alive for what they fought. They would have jumped up and, of course, they used to fight in the Congress all the time. They'd have fist fights like we do out in the street. They had them right there in the Congress. The North and the South and slavery ain't going to do this. So they would have busted him upside the head if he'd have said, I have absolute authority. You saw what the governor said. The Republicans ho-hummed and they said, no, I ain't going to do it. He don't have that authority. He don't have that authority. He don't have it in the Constitution. The governors have that authority. That's why you see regional governments. Regional, they got a crew here on the East Coast. They got a crew of governors on the West Coast. Then they got another crew, Chicago, Central. They hooking themselves up. Why? Because they're not getting nothing. They got these guidelines for crisis management, and they watching Boss Man, and Boss Man is effing up I mean, when I finish, Boss Man does everything opposite of what crisis managers should do. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the point. Okay, so let me continue. I'll just start all over here. During rapid evolution of a health crisis, the manager must assess the seriousness of the events and prioritize upcoming needs. Put things in order. Don, oh, this will blow over in a week. Y'all don't remember that, do you? He said, this will blow over in a week. Y'all don't remember that? Don actually said that. Because now he blame it on China. He, like, I don't know nothing. But that boy can say anything he wants, and all the people do is drop their mouth, and he keep right on going. Common goal is securing the health of the population. Not done. We got to get back to work, man. This is messing up the economy. And then the people nudging and said, don't say it out loud. I mean, good God Almighty. You got to say, then the other, he said, well, yes, we got to save lives. That was after they pulled him in the back and said, you can't say the economy is more important than the people. You got to say, we got to save lives. Nevertheless, health threats vary in nature and effect, so proper handling of a health crisis demands a balanced distribution of resources. A balanced distribution of resources. You can't give the governors the ones that pat you on the back and kiss your behind. I'm going to give y'all everything. The old boys or the Democrats, I ain't gonna. This is what a healthcare manager, I'm just reading, this is what the white folks say. I didn't write this. The approach of the health crisis manager has to be meticulous. His thought has to be algorithmic. Now that's one of them words that I know a little bit about vocabulary, but we're just going to keep going on that. Algorithmic. Anybody that want to slip me a piece of paper to tell me what it means, I'll be glad to accept it. I am not a dummy. Algorithmic. Algorithmic.
Algorithmic, yes.
Yes, but what does it mean?
Oh, algorithm is like it's an equation that sort of can run things. It's an algorithm. It's they use it in computer science. The brother would know too. Brother Torah would know. You know, algorithms are used to predict things. They're used to.
Well, I declare. Well, hey man, now this whole section here I got a word,
brother. Brother Torah.
Oh, it's basically a recipe.
Yeah.
It's a recipe.
Well, let me doggone. That's it. It's a recipe.
There you go. It's a recipe. There you go. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. It's a recipe. Well, you were saying it, but you were just going around and around.
No, real science.
But that word recipe, right, is perfect. Has to be algorithmic. Has to have a recipe. See that? Look at that. For decisions and actions have to be coordinated and expectations have to be realistic. With proper preparedness and planning, the crisis manager is capable of of standing on top of the situation and dealing with the challenges effectively, flexibility, avoidance of dogmatism, adaptability to the circumstances, and rapid decisional capacity are fundamental qualities of the health crisis management. Well, that's a lot to say, but boss man don't have none of them. None. What I just read tell the truth. Does he have rapid decision making? He do, but it's all stupid. He can say something stupid on the spot. An algorithmic, a recipe, no recipe. He might have a recipe for, he don't even have a recipe for all that food he eats. He's sitting up there eating all the French fries and hamburgers. Can you imagine the President of the United States is hooked on Big Macs? And people report that. That's what he likes. Big Macs. Yes, Big Macs. So he gonna make sure that the window is open where people can go by. Or his chef might be from McDonald's, so he sit there and make him Big Macs all day. He fired them because they wouldn't taste like the ones that come over the line, you know what I mean, instant. The chef would think, I'll try to make them more meaty, more chewable, digestible. He fired them. He said, man, I don't want them things. I want that crunchy stuff that we eat down in Big Mac. That's what I want. I want them French fries that if you put them in a bowl and you come back in 20 years, they'll still be there with no fungus or nothing on them. Isn't that? Hey, we living in an insane society and people think it's normal. I'm telling you, we got to get out of here in a hurry, brothers. I mean, this is a big deal. Let me see what else is going on. The manager's actions must imply social sensitivity and interest based on the needs of society and the people. As Garfield states, it is important to assess the level, needs among affected populations and be able to monitor assistance, define humanitarian needs, and approach equity in the distribution of assistance. He got to give everybody stuff equal, or according to their need, or according to their population. So he would give Iowa a little bit of something, and he would give New York a whole lot. Why? Because they're dying like flies, and they don't have the needs. Now, as far as veracity is concerned, Don comes up every day and he'll tell you in a hot minute, anybody want to test this? That's what he said last time. Anybody want to test, they can have a test right now. Anybody remember that? Everybody else said, what we need is, we need protection. We don't want all this stuff spraying on us. We want good masks, them 95, not I-95, but 95 masks, and we need at least 3M minimum. And the people don't want to change or keep their mask and take it home and wash it. But they don't want to have, like if they go in one patient, you see what the doctor do. When I was in there, they take that stuff off and throw it away. When they go in another room, they put other stuff on. They're just going to, so they would throw that stuff away. They'd had a hazmat thing there, and they would throw. I said, man, they sure use up a lot of healthcare stuff, right? That's the rule. That's the guidelines. See, they have guidelines for, in the hospital, you know, if you wanted to get sick a long time ago, go to the hospital. I mean, way back. You would get all the disease that the people got there, right? you would get when you went in there a lot of times. Why? Because that's where the disease was. And you go in there for one thing, and you come out with everything. Right? So they figured out all this washing. Hey, wow, we just sanitized the hospitals. Now that's why the hospitals smell like a cleaning factory. It's so clean. Right? But the people now that's doing the work, what they call our heroes, they dying like flies. Why? Because the Don said they got equipment and they don't have it. And you come, and then the people come on the TV right after he been there, crying. Some are actually crying. And they say, we don't have this, and that every day. Imagine how that make the country feel. It makes the country feel destabilized. And they feel like Don is lying to them. Okay. The health crisis manager must be the leader at times of crisis and assume responsible action toward individuals in the public. Also, special efforts has to be made to avoid disclosure of sensitive personal data, maintain confidentiality, and protect human privacy as much as possible. Well, Don don't do none of that. None. Responsibility? He said, if there's anything bad happened, they did it, right? Have you ever heard him say, I am responsible for this, that, other, one or two things? Now, just bear with me. I'm going to go through, this is a checklist of crisis communication. Now, this is an old one from 1987. But it's, like just doing research, you just find the ones that fit. So, do the following. Get out your prepared crisis plan. Call together the Crisis Management Steering Committee. Call in experts to help analyze and explain the crisis and open the lines of communication. That's the first thing you do. In other words, get your prepared plan. Now, this is 1987. So they've had prepared plans since way back in the century before last. Plans for cities, plans for this and plans for that. Notify top management and refer them to the crisis plan. It goes on. Channel all inquiries to the designated spokesperson who was selected and trained in advance as part of the crisis planning preparation. Let's examine, we got to examine our leadership, right? Don, did he appoint somebody? Yeah, he appointed, what's her name? But the vice president don't have no experience in healthcare. He was a governor, right? So why isn't Fauci or the lady with the scarf on, one of them, right, head of this? And they got experience with it. One of the little old men, he was the one that helped get the AIDS thing together a long time ago, back in the 80s. He started in the 70s almost. In the 80s, 90s with AIDS, he knocked that out. Fauci, whatever his name is. So he have experience in that. Why? Look at the thing. Who's the main spokesman for the whole program? Donald Trump. The other people are extras. It shouldn't be like that. It should be opposite of that. First you bring out the medical people, right? Then if it involves the military, you bring out the general or two that's going to handle logistics, or whatever they call it, getting this stuff from here, we're going to help, like they did in Katrina. Of course, they didn't do it fast enough. But the general was down there that was managing the supply. They couldn't get no supplies nowhere. So they put him back on. And a general have to be able to get stuff, war material here. So he has experience in that. Logistics, they used to call that, I don't know. But anyway, Don channeled all inquiries to the designated spokesperson. Don's a designated spokesperson, right? Not Dr. So-and-so. Yeah. In fact, they have to correct him all the time. It's a comedy show. I like it. Set up a news center for media. Begin providing information as quickly as it becomes available. Okay. So be open and tell the full story. If you do not, someone else will. If you do not, someone else will. In other words, if you don't tell the full story, someone else gonna tell it. They're gonna get charged of it, and you're gonna lose control. As journalists turn to other sources and outside experts to fill the gaps. Demonstrate the organization's concern for what is happening and for the people who are involved and affected. At the same time, explain what the organization is doing or planning to do to solve the problem. First of all, they're calling the healthcare workers heroes. And they're describing them almost like people that's ready to go on the battlefield and die. Why? Because they don't have no equipment. Some are just getting equipment today and yesterday. No, you got to realize, I don't know, have y'all watched the people on TV that come on literally crying, I am Dr. such and such. I am afraid to go to work. I am fearful of catching a disease at work. He said, we got this. We don't have that. Who do you think the people are going to believe? The doctor sitting there crying. Really? Some of them are sisters, so some of them be actually technically crying on TV. We don't have nothing. I mean, and they want us to go a whole shift in New York with one little old mask. Of course it's tragic, but today we clowning Don, so we're not going to tell it. It is tragic, but it's insane. It's really insane. And do people think that we're important? No. Don told the people last 3 days ago, I'm going to send y'all back to work and the governor's going to have to do it. Then he backed off of it 2 days ago, and now he's saying, well, we got a plan to put the people back to work, but the governors are going to institute it. Governors say, hey man, some of them have increased they stay away orders to the middle of next month. All of them gonna finish this month out. And most of them went all into next. You know, they got people saying, we're not gonna have no such and such and such till 2021. And some talk about big sports event. I said, yeah, we might be able to do that in 2022. Yeah, anybody seen that stuff? That's what they're talking about. Don wants people to go back to work today. Y'all all know why. Don wanted to win the next election. And he wants the people to go back to work now, because all he had to brag about was the economy. The economy. Now, y'all can trust the economy all you want, but the economy, the stock market goes off of how people feel about it. And the stock market have had disastrous news, and it's still going up. So I told the kids yesterday, I said, don't pay no attention to the stock market, because 2 weeks ago, I was watching the stock market all day. I pull out the thing and look, yeah, because it's all in the red, because it was acting naturally. It was acting semi-naturally. Well, okay, they controlled the thing, but it was acting semi-naturally. And when they said so many millions of people need unemployment, the stock market, but the next time, last week, they said that did nothing happen. And this morning, they said it again. So now it's over 20 million people on unemployment. And the stock market keep going up. Something wrong with that. More people are dying. I don't know, the list is up to, it's almost 30,000. Is it 30,000 dead yet or close to it? The people in America. 20 how many? 34,000. Wait a minute. But yesterday, would you see what? 34,000 inside of the U.S. I don't believe it. I'm going to just pause for a minute. 34,000, that would mean that it jumped several thousand. It's moving fast. It's right?
Well, I'm about to confirm it now, but I know we looked at it yesterday.
It was
34,000 yesterday. I'm gonna
400
check
something
to see.
yesterday. So it
34,000
might be
yesterday.
35 now.
Yeah, you're right.
So some
Right.
change. I know it's up there.
That's right. It was, I do miss TV every now and then. But if you miss it a day, can you imagine? Okay,
Yeah, 34,000.
34,000. Do you remember when it was 7,000? You remember when it was 5,000? Was that a week ago or 10 days? It was, look, so that means there's 2,000 or 3,000, it's 2,000 people at least dying every day. And it might be getting up to 3,000 or 4,000 people dying every day. And guess what Don said? You gotta get back to work. That's what he says. He says it now. Anybody heard that? We got to get you back to work. He wants the economy, not the people, economy. But it's too late. It's too late. There's nothing he can do. Why? Because of inertia. If there's 20 million people wanting unemployment now, and everybody changed to drivers and dropping off food, that ain't going to help much. The economy, when it starts going down, each trip is like a tripwire. Okay, 5 million people are unemployed. Okay, that trips the wire and it goes to 10 or 15. And when that trips it, it goes on down. There'll be 30 million people unemployed. Right? And remember, unemployed, before when you was employed, you made a lot of money. But now they got people working 2 or 3 jobs, right? Just to do the normal stuff. So that means the unemployment is going to keep going down. It can't stop now. If it stopped now, that would be one thing. But when those 20 million people are unemployed, that means the restaurant, the places they worked, they're not gonna, anything that affects them, right, affects the other people in the food chain. Let's try to get this right. The employment chain. It's all chained together. If they start getting unemployed at the top, then the other people under them, they can't, the service people, the restaurants, all of this, now they get unemployed. And then when they get unemployed, right, it adds up to more people getting unemployed. So it goes down, down, down. Now they're at the beginning of the decline. This is only the third week. And it's 20-something million people unemployed. Okay. The government done put maybe $6 trillion or $7. Actually, it's put more than that, because anytime last week when the stock market would be headed down, it would be headed down, 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 down. 1,000 this, and then you'd see it come back up real quick. All of that money, that means that's the government buying up all that and just making it go up, making it go up. That's why it's like it is now. All of that money that's keeping it up is air. If the U.S. owed, let's say, I know it's more than that, $30 trillion before, now it's going to owe 60 or 70 trillion when this is over. But remember, they just print the money.
22 million unemployed.
Huh?
22 million, excuse me.
On unemployment. 22 million unemployed. Okay, so next week, let's see, first it's tripling every time. Let's say this, okay. Let's get back to Don. Remember, this is a checklist for crisis communication. It's just, you could get this, I got this out of a big management, the book on management process, and the other stuff, we got it off crisis management. But we'll give a real lecture on crisis management maybe Sunday, but we got to get through this. I'm going to let y'all go in a minute. Demonstrate the organization's concern for what is happening and for the people who are involved and affected. At the same time, explain what the organization is doing or planning to do to solve the problem. What if Don say one thing and everybody on the podium say something else, especially all the doctors? You know the famous saying of the doctors and the governors, we're going to follow the science. Have someone to call us, 24, that's okay. Now, this is after reconvening the crisis management team afterwards, after it's all over, and look, accountability. How did we do? How do we upgrade this thing? It's part of strategic management. Now let's read, on the other hand, this means things that you don't do. Do not speculate publicly about what you do not know to be fact, and do not respond to reporters' questions designed to solicit speculation. Mr. President, does XYZ program promise an instant fix? Yes, it does. I was talking to the fixer last night, and the fixer said, we're going to have this problem out of the way. It's going to be gone next week. Isn't that the way he approached it? He should have this list in his office. Can you imagine? He don't follow nothing on the list. Wait till I finish. He don't follow nothing that they say do, and he do everything that they say don't do. Now, get right in the don't do. Don't do that. Do not speculate. What is done? He speculate on medicine. He speculate on how many we got. I just sent the governor so many 100,000 pieces of air thing they need, right? That guy is ridiculous. This is better than Saturday Night Live. This is way better. I'm telling you. I can't wait. I don't want to admit it. But you wait till I break out of here. I go to see this faster than when I was a kid, and I'd be running home to see Amos and Andy. I'm telling you. I I can't wait because of my job to explain this political stuff, which I'm trying to do. But I enjoy that food. Hey man, you can pay, you don't have comedy like that. You can't get nobody, no politician would do what he's doing. No past president would do what Don is doing. He didn't have the nerve, the courage. And Don is just absent-minded. They hired him to be a fool, and he's earning every penny that they hired him to do, to be a fool. But now he's being foolish out of hand, unnecessary foolishness. So do not speculate about what you do not know to be a fact. Anyway, do not minimize the problem or try to underplay a serious situation. The press will find out the truth soon enough. Well, like Don said, this will blow over in a week. Anybody remember that? This will blow over in a week. Even as people were dying by the thousands in Italy and everywhere, we're going to have to get back to work soon. This is it. And the people tell you, you can't do that, boss man. Everybody going to die. And it's worse if you have a pause and it's going down, right? Like the Spanish flu, 1918, they said that thing lasted for months. And it took a dip. And then it came back when the weather changed. Don said, bump the weather. What y'all talking about? I'm gonna hold my hand out and say, disease, freeze. What are you gonna say? Yeah. Don is anyway, don't minimize the problem. It ain't no problem. The people, this thing gonna blow over, tell the truth. He said it, y'all all heard it. Or there's witnesses, people heard him say it. This is going to blow over. They had a duo at the White House. You know, him and Pence. He didn't even pray. Pence prayed. To send the disease away, and the disease is still a hey, man. This is what you should not do, I'm reading from. Do not let the story dribble out bit by bit. Each new disclosure will become a potential headline or lead story. Mr. President, did you say that this was a special mumby-jumby disease and it ain't gonna do nothing but tickle your finger? You got the wrong information, lady. And if you keep on running your mouth, you're going to have to get up out of here. Because I ain't here. You ought to ask me a question I want you to ask. Why you didn't ask how many birds are in the nest? Why you didn't ask that? Why you didn't ask how many cars I got? You didn't ask none of that. You asked this silly question about something I was supposed to say last week. How do I remember what I said last week? You think I got a notebook? I can remember way back then, coming up in here talking, that's the way he do it. Have y'all seen him in news conferences? You're supposed to, white folks say, pat the press on the back, be nice to him. Don do the exact opposite. So much, he got the reporters just trying to outscoop each other. He said something to the black lady, and the white reporter said, I want to give my turn to such and such, to the Negro lady. That was last week. Anybody see that? Say, yeah, let her talk. Let her ask the question. You keep your mouth. He actually says this on TV. Shut up! That's what he said yesterday while I'm talking. Shoot, run around here. Get me mad. Don't make me get up from here. You cannot, you know, we can predict, not we can predict, we do tell the truth. We predict, all of the stuff that's happening, we done predicted it. Not that, missed it, flew right by. That we would have a president that far gone. We know they was gone, George Bush was gone. But not that far gone. Not that would do it right in front of you. Okay, let's get on with Robert Coda. Do not pay favorites among the media or the reporters. Respect reporters' work by not undercutting their scoops and enterprise. Do not try to capitalize on media attention and interest by trying to promote the organization, cause, products, or services. Now, is Don trying to, since he's the star of the show, you can't say on Don's show that, well, we did a few things and that the people is happy. You got to say, Don did that. You got to say, Don, it's insanity. It's crazy. It's just, it's stupid. It's not even stupid. It's wrong, but it's worse than wrong. It's something. You got to, can you imagine a president so childish that you can't say nothing good about nobody else that puts him out of the spotlight? That's insanity. It's not even immaturity, it's insanity. You know, you can have a president that's a little immature, a little not developed, but not that far gone. If Obama was a 3 or a 4 on that scale, this man is 97. He can't hardly go no farther, unless they'd have him out of St. Elizabeth. Okay. Don't try to capitalize. Goodness gracious alive. Anyway, so this is the biggest crisis in recent history. And for the biggest crisis, you need the biggest people. For the biggest crisis, you need the biggest people. For the biggest challenges, even a crippled president had enough sense to say, okay, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. That's 1932, Franklin Roosevelt. That's his inaugural address about the Depression. But the Depression started in the stock market crash in 1929. He became president years later in 32. There was a period that all of that stuff was happening. This happened, bam! And one day everybody going to work and minding their own business, right? And the next day everybody's unemployed. That has never happened. You got to have a monster in charge. That's thinking, he has to be thinking about the people, the country. He has to think about the picture that the world sees. The picture is watching America. What does it do? The whole rest of the world say, America, you messing up, man. Even in Iran say, hey, we got 2 viruses and y'all got 1. And we doing better than y'all. So we have a global lock on us, acquiring medicine and everything else. That is a virus. And then we have the virus itself, number 2, that's killing thousands of our people. And we doing better than you. And you're the one causing everybody the trouble. That's what the people are saying. The World Health Organization, we ain't giving y'all no more money because y'all not doing like we want. You back in China. China ain't did nothing to that. China didn't make them send all them factories over there to China. China said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She's here, she's here. That's what all they said when they sent them our stuff. They was thankful, happy. Now the dumb U.S. thought what we'll do is we'll send the factories over there, but the technology to do this, that, and another. China said, no, boss man. Oh, we nice Chinese, but if you want to send a factory, you have to give us the technology along with that. When they send technology, when they build factories in African countries, they don't do that. They keep the ability to do it, but they have you do the work. China said, no, boss, oh, sorry. Can you imagine in 40 years, the Chinese went to being flat broke? Technically, they're number one in the world. They're not number two. They're number one. They just don't say they're number one because they don't want to make boss man madder than he is. But all the statistics, you can't go nowhere without seeing China. When I was in Iran, the Chinese had, you know, the big hotels, and when they have visitors, they have one guy coordinating all the keys and all the cards. And I was sitting next to the guy coordinating all that. I said, good, there's plenty of Chinese here. That was 1989. They was there in 1990, 95, and everywhere else. Okay. So this is the biggest crisis in recent history of this decade, and it's never been a situation where the whole world is on freeze. There's been World War I and World War II. The whole world has been fighting, but there's never been a case where the whole world is in a straitjacket, where you can't go and produce. And if you don't produce, the government has to pay you unless they want rebellion. That's not in America. That's everywhere. Can you imagine? Every country got to go deep, deep in debt. Think about this. Like Franklin Roosevelt started all this Social Security and all that to stop a rebellion in the 1930s. That's what all that was. He saved capitalism. But now, we, the people of the world, have an opportunity, and it's necessary for us to visualize the world we want to live in and begin to institute that world. That's what this is about. A lot of people don't believe it. That's what it's about. But they don't believe it because they don't have vision. They're not sitting there thinking. I'm not going to brag, but you have to admit that we have been on point literally about, I don't care what you call it, but it's been there. I don't care whether it was Lebanon, whether it was regionalism, whether it was, we sit right here and told everybody about Najaf and Karbala. Why are all the people going there? Years before anything happened to Soleimani. Y'all remember that? And when they assassinated him, I stopped. I bought a new car. I said to go to California. I said, oh, ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay here. Why? Because we're in a new situation. And do you know his assassination and the assassination of his associate focused right on Najaf and Karbala because they took both bodies through Najaf, Karbala, then Iran, and they buried the other brother in Iraq. But they took them all over. Do you know the crowds looked and acted exactly like the beginning of the revolution? So what did they do? They helped revive Iran and lock it in. We ain't putting up with this no more. You could see it. You could hear it. If you knew what you was looking at, you could smell it. Because they can't, that's their problem. We did. We do. Why? I believe we just tuned in with things that's happening now. That's the way it is. It's always somebody. If they ain't got nobody in the whole United States government or nobody in the UN, nowhere, that can sit and look at the world and put it in perspective. They don't have nobody can do that. We've already done it here. You know what now? It's all been on tape. Everything has all been on tape. It's all been on tape. Everything we're saying, it's been right there. You know, when you make forecasts and you make those type of statements, you stepping out on a little limb. We gave them all the time, not feeling any limb stepping or anything. Why? That's the stage we're in. Okay, now I want to close with the little statements we made last night about the Yusuf dilemma. Name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. O my sustainer, thou hast indeed bestowed upon me something of power, and hast imparted unto me some knowledge of the inner meaning of happenings, originating of the heavens and the earth. Thou art near unto me in this world and the life to come. Let me die as one who has surrendered himself unto thee, and make me one of the righteous. This is the dua or in the Quran that Yusuf is making at the end of Surah 12. So he's thanking Allah for giving him some knowledge of the inner workings of reality. So some would call it foresight, insight, and hindsight. You know, in other words, he has a feeling about things that are going to happen in the future. Well, why wouldn't he? He's a prophet. He don't know what day and he don't know that stuff. But he has a vision, and Allah has inspired that vision in him, that he has a vision of things that are going to happen, and then the internal processes that are going on to produce that, it don't upset him and it don't discourage him. When he's in prison, he's not discouraged. He's not upset. He's not sad. He's just doing his job. When he looks back at hindsight, that's what this is. O my sustainer, thou hast indeed bestowed on me something of power. He's thanking Allah. You did, oh Allah, you did all of this. You gave me some power and you gave me some ability to understand how all of this is working. And other prophets asked too, you know, Ibrahim said, oh Allah, show me how you did it. You say, you don't believe? He said, yes, I believe. But I want, when I tell the people this, I want to say, I saw this with my own eyes. I know what I'm talking about. You see what I mean? That was Ibrahim's. Okay, now, we're going to really close out here. This is the Yusuf dilemma for dear old America. O Joseph, he says, O man of truth, expound to us the dream of 7 fat kine, whom 7 lean ones devour, and of 7 green ears of corn, and 7 others with it, that I may return to the people, and that they may understand. This is the cupbearer again. The story of Joseph. He told the cupbearer, hey man, you're going to be back with the king's joint and you're going to be pouring stuff for the king. And then he told the other guy, he said, don't look too good for you, homeboy. Look like the birds are going to be eating out of it. Yeah, you're going to be crucified. He just told him what this is the message. So Joseph tells him, for 7 years, you're going to get this good, 7 years. Now, before this, they asked all the king's advisors. The king asked them, hey, what's this dream I had? What do y'all know about that? They said, man, this is just a confused medley. That's the way they use the English. This is a confused medley and stuff. We don't have no knowledge of that. So then when they heard that, the guy that was in prison, he says, hey, I got a homeboy. We was in a joint together. Let me go talk to him. And he tells him what it is. He said, yeah, that's what it is. He said, you guys are going to have 7 great years and 7 lean years. And so when you have them 7 good years, save most of what you got. Just eat a little. Save it all for later. At that time, Egypt became, in that part of the world, the distributor of goods and services to the rest of the world in that area. Because evidently that was a regional drought, isn't it right? And that's why the people had to come from way over in Canaan all the way to Egypt, right? They didn't know Joseph was in Egypt. So, I'm going to skip a little and go right to the point. So the king said, bring me that guy, man. I want to talk to him. So Joseph says, hey, go back to your Lord and ask him about the women. You know, that whole setup, the frame-up while he was in jail. He was in jail. He did his job in jail. He seemed to enjoy it. He wasn't worried. So the king checked on him. He said, hey, man, what do y'all know about this? He said, that man is clean as a whistle. That boy is clean as a whistle. Then he said, I'll go out. Then he went out. Now here's what Joseph said. Joseph said, set me over the storehouses of the land. I will indeed guard them as one who knows their importance. This is the Yusuf dilemma. Here's a Negro with the best track record in the United States. That's just the way we feel about it. It's all there. And it didn't just start a few years ago. This has been going on for over 40 years. Technically, it's been going on for 50 years. Because the first years we went outside the country, took money outside, they say we did, to help the black movement, to help the African Renaissance, all of that stuff, that's what they say we did. And then we happened to go to South America. Do you know, in 1972, January, there was an article in Newsweek, if y'all can pull that up, 1972. It could have been December of 71, but it wasn't no later than February of 72. You know what it was? It had how people smuggle cocaine, where they go to smuggle it, the routes, and all of that. And guess what I was doing? I was on a doggone plane because that was my comeback, January the 1st, leaving France, and that's why I picked up the Newsweek. Going back to America, South America, to get back in business. There was an article showing me, according to them, exactly what I was getting ready to do. Do you know I followed that guideline? I followed that guideline. That's the way it says it. It says they have it here, they have it there. Then, when I got off base, when I was in Bolivia, I went to Peru, then I went to Bolivia. The federal agent in Bolivia, we were squatting together in a big plaza. And he said, go to Colombia. Go to Colombia. I got friends up there. He told me their names and all that. At that time, Colombia was not the headquarters of cocaine smuggling. Before it was Bolivia and it was Peru. But the government was getting ready to shift. I was there when the shift went in. And also along with that shift, when I was in Colombia, I saw movies like Superfly. By the time I went to the pen, they had Superfly TNT. If y'all remember the subjects of those films, the white man leads people to where he wants them to go. Yes, he do. And so after you figure that out, you figure how you're going to place yourself. Now, it ain't no the white man doing this, the white man is doing his regular old job. But you are now aware of his job. This goes back almost 50 years. We are aware in detail. We know what we're doing. We know he's arranging our shipments to go here. He's arranging that, right? And we're doing something on the side because we know when he arranges it, he's going to take all that money back. So why you never go broke? Because you did something on the side. You knew what he was doing. You knew how deadly he was, and you had his pattern down, and you tested his pattern. This is a long time ago. Imagine you come into Islam. I have a preacher friend. And the preacher come by the Masjid when it was on East 14th. He's an old friend of mine. He's a preacher now. You know, all of my friends that was in the gang, they became preachers. And they got saved. Does anybody remember the movie, The Mac? Do you remember a preacher standing on the podium and he's preaching? I don't think nobody's in the church, but maybe one guy's supposed to be listening to that. Do y'all remember? The preacher is preaching and he's preaching. Do you know the most famous Negroes, the Ward brothers? Ted Ward got saved. Willie Ward just passed away, the youngest one. All these are friends of mine. They all got saved. The people in that movie, all of them got saved. They either preachers or they was going to the churches that the other friends had. Why? Because in the Mac, they giving them the problem and they giving them the solution, the white man's solution. I didn't mean to say the white man, but the white man is telling them, you get saved after you've done all this foolishness. You get the Holy Ghost. That's what all my friends did. Even one of my friends is a preacher now. He come by the mosque. He say he had got a heavy case. Some kind of way he was wiggling out of it. He said, man, why you accept Islam? Why don't you, get saved like me? I said, well, the only reason I don't do it is because actually I believe. That's what I told him. I said, I actually believe, this. So, if you think that we just got lucky, and we have the same statement to Allah that Joseph had. We thank Allah. First of all, just being here, look, the numbers do not produce 75-year-olds that go through all of that fitna. They don't last that long. If they do, they start preaching and kissing behind and everything else. They have a broken spirit. They don't last that long. The other thing with longevity, they cause you so much trouble you don't have the ability to sustain fitna after fitna, discouragement after discouragement, diversion after the diversion. Nobody have that type of discipline. They don't last that long. And then you have to be adapt to the whole world. How many people they got? You have to think about what I'm trying to say now. This is the Yusuf dilemma in the 21st century. What are we saying to them? We ain't going to help you until you clean up that back record. Now, you can do it. You can call CARE and have them do a magic trick. You can call, the people down in Dallas, old Meeks man, and have them do a thing. We just discovered, I followed your da-da-da-da, and the government is just doing so bad that we're going to help you and they're going to give you $100 million. Do that. They should do that. That's one of the things. We're going to sit here with our hands in our pocket till they do that. Because that's what the scripture said. It said that Joseph, because this is a dilemma we've been having. This is a message. I'm telling you for me. Well, we're going to go back to California, we're going to do this. And if we don't go back, this, and if we do this, they're going to do that, and all of that stuff. Allah saw it. He said, just say, hold it. You clear this stuff up. This fella here has got a clean record. And now, when they say that, that will give us access at the media. And we'll take care of their dictator for them. We will. We'll clown down. We'll clown him and send him home. Ain't nothing he can do about it because we don't care nothing about it. He can't say nothing to us. He's scared of white folks. Can you imagine? He scares them all. Something is wrong with them. The system, they put the system to suck all the juice out of us, to break our backbone, and it's done it. But this done broke their back too. They don't have the courage. And the Muslims read these scriptures that we have. But they don't have nothing. They're not saying nothing. Right? So we're going to give them a month or two, then we're going to go on about our business and do our regular program. But if they want a soft landing, the only way they're going to get a soft landing is with us. Because we done passed all the tests. We're not angry at the misery they put on all the people. We didn't learn how to not accept it, but it don't hurt. Can you imagine that they can do stuff and it don't have it hurts everybody else, it hurts them bad. It kills them, it breaks their bone, it does everything. And it don't hurt you. Whatever you do. And they do it all the time, everywhere, every day. It don't make no difference. And it don't hurt. So you're thankful to Allah for that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal that you're thankful to Allah. And then that makes you want to produce a soft landing for the system. Why? Because all the people that's involved in this haven't did nothing wrong. If they have a hard landing, hey man, you don't know the numbers of people that could be killed and the people that could be, we don't want to see a hard landing. So I'll close with this. We want to see those 5-10% of the FBI or whoever they are that claim they lack righteousness and goodness, to do something about it. Because we ain't going to budge. Well, we'll budge a few months. It's a little time limit. You got a month or two to do something about it. If you don't, forget you. It don't make no difference with us. We already gonna make our move with Allah's help. And that's been a serious move. It's a dilemma for them. That means a nigga got more sense than all of us put together. One nigga. Got more sense than the whole government. And not more accumulated, but more ability to do something. You know, when they said an action plan, you gotta have a strategy already. We got all that stuff. It ain't nothing happened that we have the next day rolled out and said, da 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 da. Think about it. No matter what happened, no matter when it was, as soon as it happened, we'll explain it to the people this way. Book of Revelations, we'll go there and we'll hook it up there. Well, we'll hook it up with patience and strategy and long range. We always have something ready. We've always had to. Anyway. Oh Lord, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and negligence. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Lord, suffice us with what is lawful, keeping us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is beside thee. Amen. Hey, Salat.